ChatGPT said, they thought putting up a fence would be the end of me. Turns out, that fence was the beginning of the best investment I ever made. I'm talking about a homemade toll booth on my own land, bringing in more cash than I ever expected, all because a group of HOA folks didn't do their homework. They wanted to force me out. Instead, they paid the price, one car at a time. I'm Ethan Morgan, 38, business consultant by trade but a rancher by heart. 2 years back, I bought a 30-acre patch of land just outside Austin, Texas. It wasn't pretty. Overgrown fields, a rickety barn, a farmhouse barely holding together. But it had something most places don't: peace. And I had plans. I wired up irrigation systems that responded to soil moisture, solar-powered my chicken coop, and even built a sensor system that texted me when a goat went into labor. I wasn't just farming. I was building a dream. The road to my ranch cuts through a neighborhood called Golden Meadows, governed by a homeowners association. Now I ain't part of that HOA, never was. But my access to that road was legally guaranteed by a recorded easement, solid and on file since 1972. For 2 years, no issues. Frank and Eleanor, my elderly neighbors, used to bring me pies for eggs. I'd help Frank fix his old radio. He'd lend a hand when one of my projects needed an extra pair. Life was good. Then came the letter. A formal notice from the HOA, cryptic language about unauthorized road usage, and a meeting to discuss security enhancements. It reeked of corporate nonsense, but I figured I'd show up and clear the air. I had no clue I was walking into a setup. Meeting night, I rolled up in my mud-splattered pickup and walked into a sea of manicured hair and polished shoes. At the front stood Maxwell Bennett, the new HOA president, slick, smug, and fresh from a real estate stint in Dallas. He talked about plans to build luxury homes next door, using words like upscale development and property value enhancement, but it didn't take long before he got to me. Or rather, the unsightly ranch that caused traffic problems. That was my land he was talking about, like I was some pest they couldn't fumigate fast enough. Then came the kicker. A gate. A full-blown electronic gate and an 8-foot fence to beautify the entrance and enhance security. Construction starting tomorrow. I stood up, introduced myself, and reminded everyone I had a legal easement. Maxwell didn't blink, claimed the HOA had the right to secure their roads, and offered me a shiny little access card for $3,000 a year. You're not being forced out, he smirked. Just pay to play. I left that night furious, but not clueless. My friend Olivia, a real estate attorney, picked up my call right away. She confirmed what I already knew. Easements are binding. But they'll drag it out, she warned. Document everything. Next morning, I woke to the sound of bulldozers. They were already pouring concrete for the gate. I rushed down the road, yelled, argued, didn't matter. Maxwell showed up in his designer coat, flashed a permit he wouldn't let me read, and handed me a temporary access card like he was doing me a favor. That gate locked me out of my own damn land. But here's where the story turns. While pacing my property line in frustration, something didn't sit right. The fence didn't follow the boundary I remembered. I dug out my survey maps and, after some careful measuring, realized they'd made a mistake. A small one, but costly. About 3 feet of their fancy new gate crossed onto my property. That's when it clicked. If they could charge me to cross their land, I could do the same. I called Ryan Cooper, a contractor buddy who hated HOA types even more than I did. We built an automated toll booth, payment terminal, camera, gate arm, the works, right on the slice of land they accidentally fenced into. I made it legit too. Signs, solar panels, receipts, the whole 9 yards. That BY Sunday, Golden Meadows residents returned from their lake trips to find a brand new toll booth charging $20 a crossing or $100 a month. Folks were confused, then frustrated, but most paid up. After all, they just wanted to get home. Some laughed, others grumbled. One lady called it Texas entrepreneurship at its finest. Maxwell showed up later that day, red in the face, screaming that I was harassing the community. I stood calmly behind the booth and held up my property survey. Officer Ramirez arrived, took one look at my paperwork, and said, "This is a civil matter, sir." Maxwell nearly blew a gasket. Then came the retaliation. They cut power lines near the booth, but we had solar. Sent in inspectors. Our construction was airtight. Claimed I needed a business license. Olivia shot that down. The toll booth ran smoothly, raking in thousands. More importantly, the neighborhood turned. Residents began questioning why they were paying twice. Once to the HOA, once to me, and getting nothing but headaches in return. A local reporter, Zoe Sullivan, picked up the story. Her article, "The Rancher, the Toll Booth, and the HOA War," went viral. Folks all over the country started sharing their HOA horror stories. Tourists even stopped by for selfies. Maxwell? He didn't take it well. My cameras caught him and two goons vandalizing the booth one night. Spray painting cameras, smashing equipment. What they didn't know? I had backup cameras in the trees. I posted the footage online and added a new sign. Special toll for Maxwell Bennett, $1,000 per crossing. That was the final nail. Public opinion turned fast. Residents demanded his resignation. Turns out, Maxwell had been hiding his ties to the development company, earning fat commissions if he could push me off my land. Olivia found emails proving it. Worse, he'd falsified permit locations and withheld my easement from the board. I invited him to one final meeting at Olivia's office. Gave him a chance to end it all. He refused, mocked me, and bragged about manipulating HOA members like puppets. What he didn't realize, the meeting was being legally recorded. Texas is a one-party consent state, and we posted notice in the room. It was all fair game. I released everything. The recordings, the emails, the vandalism footage. The fallout was instant. Maxwell was fired. Their lawyer quit. The HOA board, now led by one of the more reasonable residents, formally restored my easement, tore down the gate, and reimbursed my legal costs. The development company bailed. The land was sold to a conservation trust, preserved as nature trails. And me, I used the $15,000 toll profits to start a land rights fund. Threw a massive barbecue for the neighborhood. Frank taught kids about solar panels. Eleanor ran gardening workshops. My ranch became a hub for education and community events. Where there once was a toll booth, now sits a flower garden with a sign that reads, "Don't mess with a rancher who can wire a security system." So now I've got a question for y'all. Was I out of line? Or was this just standing my ground, Texas style? Drop a comment below and tell me. If your HOA pulled this on you, would you fight back too? You'd think after all that, after the gate came down, after the scandal broke, after Maxwell lost everything, that peace would finally settle over Golden Meadows like a warm blanket at the end of a cold night. But no, peace ain't something you're handed. It's something you protect, especially when certain people can't stand seeing you win. About 3 months after the big showdown, things started getting weird again. It began small, petty really. Someone slashed the tires on my truck one night. Then 2 of my chickens disappeared without a trace. At first, I chalked it up to bad luck or maybe a coyote. But then came the letters, anonymous, typed, threatening. Sell and leave. You don't belong here. Stuff like that. Always unsigned. Always just enough to unsettle that I tried brushing it off, staying focused on the ranch and the community projects. We were in the middle of building a greenhouse with a class from the local high school. But I ain't stupid. I installed more cameras, more lights. Hell, I even wired motion sensors to my irrigation system just in case someone got bold enough to come creeping around again. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. One afternoon, I got a call from Zoe, the reporter who'd covered the first saga. "Ethan," she said, voice tight, "you need to see something." She forwarded a document her contact at the county recorder's office had tipped her off about. Turns out, Platinum Ridge Developments, the same folks that backed out after Maxwell fell, had quietly reapplied for permits. Different name, different project, same goal. But this time, they weren't going through the HOA. They were trying to buy land adjacent to mine from a private seller, land that backed right up to the east side of my property. If they got that parcel, they could reroute access, build a new road, and box me in from the other side. No gate, no easement fight, just pure isolation. I brought the document to Olivia. She sighed and said, "They're playing long game now." And that's when I realized this wasn't about a ranch. It was about leverage. My land sat smack in the middle of where they wanted to build phase 2 of their development. They didn't want to box me in. They wanted me gone. For good. So I played my hand. First, I reached out to the private seller, a retired widow named Linda Grayson. Turns out, she had no idea who the buyers were. She just wanted to downsize and move closer to her grandkids. I offered to buy the land myself, fair price, cash. But before she said yes, she asked one question: "What are you going to do with it?" And I told her the truth. "Protect it. Keep it green. Make sure it stays something your grandkids can be proud of." She smiled, and the next day we shook hands under her old oak tree. Deal done. Now I had a new buffer zone and an idea. With help from the community, I turned that parcel into the Green Meadows Educational Preserve. We planted native grasses, restored a seasonal creek, built walking trails, and set up an open-air classroom for local schools. Zoe covered the story again. It went statewide this time, from toll booth to nature school. How one rancher beat the system twice. But Platinum Ridge didn't back off so easily. Their new rep, a slick suit named Darren Cole, showed up one afternoon pretending to be just curious about collaboration. Said he was impressed by the community work I'd done, but wondered if I'd consider a land use agreement or even co-develop a sustainable village concept. Yeah, noted. I told him, plain as day. You want to build homes that cost more than most folks make in a decade, on land that ain't yours, using a name you thought we wouldn't recognize. You want to wrap that in buzzwords like green space and community forward and think I'm too dumb to see through it. I'm not interested, Mr. Cole, and neither is this community. He left with a fake smile and a promise to circle back. He never did. Instead, about 2 weeks later, a county inspector showed up claiming someone had filed a noise complaint about our weekend workshops. Then another about fire code violations. Then zoning issues. Always vague. Always anonymous. Always just enough to drain time, money, and patience. But this time, I wasn't alone. Frank rallied the retirees. Eleanor brought fresh lemonade and blueberry muffins to every zoning hearing. High schoolers testified about the value of the classes. Parents wrote letters. Teachers showed up in person. Even Officer Ramirez stopped by just to make sure no one was trying to bully a good neighbor. I started to realize the ranch wasn't just mine anymore. It belonged to everyone who believed in what it stood for. And maybe that's why, on the 1-year anniversary of the toll booth war, something incredible happened. The county commissioner herself attended our Earth Day event. After touring the land and speaking with locals, she announced plans to officially designate the entire area, including my property, Linda's former land, and parts of the adjacent greenbelt, as a community agricultural and environmental zone, protected from high-density development. Just like that, Platinum Ridge was locked out for good. Darren Cole tried to spin it as unexpected regulatory interference. But truth is, they got beat by neighbors, kids, and a guy with calloused hands who knew how to run wire and plant corn. Today, the old toll booth arm sits mounted above the entrance to our new learning barn, painted bright red, with the words, "You are now entering free land," carved into the wood. Kids walk under it on field trips. Seniors sit nearby under the wildflower canopy. And me? I wake up every morning to the sound of laughter, the rustle of wind through mesquite trees, and not a damn gate in sight. So yeah, maybe I didn't just protect a road. Maybe I helped build a bridge between folks tired of being steamrolled and the power of standing your ground together. Now tell me this. When the system comes for your peace, your land, your dignity, what would you build in return? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever faced something like this, an HOA, a corporation, a bully with too much money and not enough soul, share your story. Somebody out there needs to hear it, because sometimes the best way to fight back is to build something they can never take.